Everybody good? To start? We should talk about for the board meeting that you guys want to park back there and come in this way. Yeah, we could do that. Maybe as part of that. 30 seconds. Yeah. You got the photo op for student senators. Yeah, we're going to do that right after this. And then I'll probably be able to look at that. Is it this way? Yeah, we'll introduce them.
Recording in progress.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'll call us to order. If everybody could stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, let's move on to our roll call. Board Member Randall.
Present.
Board Member Rial.
Here.
Board Member Barraza.
Here.
Vice Chair Bernal Morales.
Present.
I am booming today. I am here as well. So moving on to 1.4. So Pima Community College acknowledges that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Tohono O'odham and Pasquayaqui peoples who have stewarded this land since time immemorial. We recognize their enduring presence and contributions to this region. As we honor this history, we commit to learning from Indigenous communities and supporting their sovereignty, culture, and rights. So I'm going to do a little bit of an audible with our agenda to make this flow a little easier. We'll get to everything, so don't worry. But just to give you an outline of where we're going to go, we're going to start with the first half of our mission moment. There are a number of student senators and others who are here with us. I anticipate we'll have a pretty lengthy public comment period, so you all are welcome to stay for that if you want, but I wanted to give you the ability to be with your families or whatever else that you have to do this evening if you wish to do that. We'll move from then on to our admin report from our government relations team, because I know there's a lot of interest just looking at these public comment cards about TRIO and some of our upper bound grants. So I wanted to make sure that you all who are attending have the information that we have, the latest information before those public comment periods. There's no vote associated with that. So, and then as soon as we're done with that presentation, we'll move into public comments so that you're able to respond and react, because we sometimes the information about what's going on with some of our federal funding changes daily or multiple times a day. So I want to make sure you all who are spending your time here with us have the latest and most accurate information to be able to provide your input to us. And then after that public comment period, we'll jump back to the summary of current events by board members. We'll go to the second part of our mission moment on social media mentors, and then run through the rest of our agenda in that order. So let's start. Dr. Irene Robles Lopez, you want to come up and talk about our student senators?
Good evening, Board Chair Taylor, board members, Chancellor Nancy, students, guests, and colleagues. My name is Dr. Irene Robles Lopez. I serve as the Vice Chancellor for the Student Experience, and my colleague, Dr. Suzanne Desjardins, Vice President of Student Affairs, and I have the pleasure of introducing our 25-26 student senators for this year, a very special group of students. And Jennifer Madrid, our Dean of Students, will now come up to introduce them. Thank you.
Thank you. So good evening, Chair Taylor, members of the Board of Governors, Chancellor Nassi, and distinguished colleagues. My name is Jennifer Madrid, and I serve as the Dean of Students for Pima Community College. It is an honor to present tonight's October Mission Moment. This evening, I'm especially proud to introduce the 2025-26 Pima Community College Student Senate. Each year, student senators are selected to represent the diverse voices of the student body across all campuses. These student leaders play a vital role in shared governance, serving as advocates, collaborators, and ambassadors who help bridge communication between students and college leadership. The members of this year's Senate earned their seats through a vigorous process. They campaigned across campuses, participated in college-wide elections, and were voted into office by their peers. Since being elected, they have completed comprehensive leadership training designed to prepare them for their roles in shared governance, discussions, student engagement initiatives, and student body representation. I would like to note that two of our senators, Kate Bender and David Rojo, are not in attendance this evening because they are currently representing Pima Community College at the National Student Government Summit in Washington, D.C. There, they are participating in networking roundtables and leadership workshops, further developing their skills and bringing national perspectives back to our college. And now I'd like to introduce and recognize our 25-26 student senators. First, we have Rachel King. She is the Student Senate Chair. She is representing Northwest Campus, and she is pursuing an Associate of Science in Physics and Computer Science. Next, we have Cesar Peña, who is a returning student senator. He is the Student Senate Co-Chair and Secretary. He is representing Desert Vista Campus, and he is pursuing an Associate of Arts in Liberal Arts. All right. Next, we have Kate Bender, who is attending the conference. She is the Student Senate Parliamentarian and Project Lead, and she represents the Northwest Campus, and she is pursuing an Associate of Arts in Liberal Arts with a focus in political science. Next, we have Adrian Corona, another returning senator. He is the Student Senate Marketing Officer representing West Campus, and he is pursuing an Associate of Applied Science in Digital Game and Simulation. Next, we have Hector Castillo. He is the Student Senate Board of Governors representative and alternate representative, and also represents all College Council, and he is our ABEC, Adult Basic Education and College and Career Student Senator. All right. David Rojo is also attending the conference. He is our Student Senate Board of Governors representative. He represents the downtown campus, and he is pursuing an Associate of Science pre-engineering. And we have another returning senator, which is great. It's really exciting to have students return to these positions. Miguel Sepulveda de Saracho, he is our Student Senate All College Council representative. He represents East Campus, and he is pursuing an Associate of Arts in Liberal Arts and Anthropology focus. All right. So thank you, and at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Rachel King, who will be providing an update of what the student senators are currently working on.
Good evening, Chair Taylor, members of the Board of Governors, Chancellor Nassy, and colleagues. My name is Rachel King, and I have the privilege of serving as part of the Pima Community College Student Senate for the 2025 to 2026 academic year. On behalf of my fellow senators, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share a brief update on our work so far this year. Our first major initiative is to host the Fall Student Senate Town Hall on Tuesday, October 28th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the West Campus. The goal of this event is to collect feedback directly from students, gain traction for our Student Senate projects, and foster open communication between the student body and college leadership. We're excited to create a space where students can share ideas, express concerns, and help shape the campus experience. In addition to preparing for the town hall, we have begun brainstorming ideas for our Senate project for the academic year. While we are still in the early stages, our focus is on identifying initiatives that promote student belonging, engagement, and success across every campus. Chair Taylor and members of the board, thank you again for your continued support of student leadership. We look forward to keeping you informed as our work progresses this year. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? No, thank you all for your service to your college. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
While you're doing that, I also want to give a special thank you to Nikeli Federico and Talea Tamanu. They are our student life coordinators and student senate co-leads, and they help mentor and guide our student senators throughout the year. We also have our student experience leadership team, Valerie Vidal-King, our director of student engagement, and JP Santillan, our student life supervisor, who are here, who will also provide guidance to this wonderful team. So thank you.
All right, so I'm going to call up Libby Howell and Joseph Mace to provide the administrative report around our federal funding. And just a reminder, there's no action items on the agenda related to this right now. I just want to make sure that you all, especially you all who have come to provide comment, have the latest information that we also have access to that might inform your guidance or your thoughts to the board. I also do need a public comment card from you if you want to. So if you haven't given me one yet, or you're inspired by some comments from the remarks that are given here, please go to the table in the back and fill one of those out, and then I can add you to the stack here. Take it away, Libby.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Bernal Morales, members of the board, Chancellor, colleagues and guests. I'm Libby Howell. I'm the Executive Director of Community and Government Relations, and my teammate Joseph Mays and I are here to talk about government relations and what's happening on the federal level, but also a little bit about what's happening locally. So I will start that right now. So September 14th through 20th was National Adult Ed and Family Literacy Week, and both the Board of Supervisors and the Tucson Mayor and Council issued proclamations acknowledging that. At the meeting of the Board of Supervisors, we were honored to have Board Member Riel and Board Member Randall join us for that. You may not know that Chair of the Board of Supervisors, Rex Scott, has a particular affection for adult ed. As a young person, he had trouble getting on the right path, and adult basic ed helped him get the skills that he needed to find his way and eventually to make it through college, and in fact, pursued a career as a school teacher and then a school administrator. He also gave Lori Kierstead Joseph the opportunity to talk a little bit about why adult ed is important, and she gave some of the statistics about what's going on with that situation. For example, 43 million Americans, 43 million, cannot read or write at the very most basic level, while 62 million lack basic skills in math, as well as the credentials and skills necessary to pursue higher ed. More than 900,000 Arizonans, adults 18 years and older, do not have a high school diploma, and here in Pima County, there are about 70,000 people ages 18 to 64 who do not have a high school diploma. Here in Pima County, 173,000 people do not speak English at a proficient level, and so therefore the English, learning English as a second language is an important part of what they do. At the mayor and council's meeting, 3 students attended with our team, and they were each allowed to give a little bit about their story. And this photo is of those students. A member of the mayor's office came downstairs afterwards to meet them and to hear more about them. The woman in the white blouse has just recently received her high school equivalency diploma and has just enrolled here at Pima to learn to be a medical assistant. The woman in the flowered dress has taken and passed 3 of the courses she needs to take the high school equivalency test, and she has 2 more classes to go. And of course, there's Lori in the middle. The gentleman to her left is a refugee from Afghanistan. He was an attorney there. He came to Adult Ed to learn to speak English. And I'm here to tell you, he's been here a year, and his English is excellent. And then, of course, we have Sarah Hagigi and Wendy Shader-Black, who are members of Lori's team. So a couple of other updates I'll give you. We finally heard from the dual enrollment team at the Office of Economic Security. We're getting a little over $197,000. Our estimate is that that would reimburse us for about 325 students if they were at the maximum cap in terms of classes that they take. Recently, a week or so ago, we had a visit from NAU and Coconino. They are thinking of partnering together to have a training center, and they're very attracted to our Center of Excellence in Health Professions. They've heard great things about it, so they came to visit and see what that was all about. The meeting was hosted by Workforce Development and the Health Professions Leadership Team. And then just yesterday, we had a group of state legislative Democrats come down. That visit was organized by Representative Nancy Gutierrez, and their purpose was to see the impact of the budget, both good and bad, on PCC. And I have to acknowledge the fact, once again, that Vice Chair Bernal Morales, Board Member Barraza, and Board Member Riel came and joined us for that. And that was an entire afternoon. So that was a real gift of their time. And I also want to acknowledge our speakers who came in to talk about the dual enrollment program, Jeff Tees, Adult Basic Ed, Lori Kierstead Joseph, and of course the Center of Excellence in Health Professions, which was Don Martin, and then everyone did a tour afterwards with his 2 directors. So that's a little bit of what's going on at the local level, and now I'll turn it over to Joseph to talk about the federal area.
Good evening. So I just want to take some time I know we did a presentation last month, and there are some updates and also some clarification to make sure we're clear on where we're at for federal, for the impact of federal changes to the college. So a few things I want to cover. We'll talk about TRIO and the C Campus program, HSI funding, adult education, and then where we are in the shutdown. And we don't have a lot we know right now, but we'll share what we know. Okay, so with TRIO, at the beginning of this year, we were in, Pima College was in the middle of 10 active TRIO grants. Since that time, in the past 3 months, we were notified that 5 of those grants would be extended and that 5 of those grants would be discontinued. The 5 grants, for the lifetime, because most of those grants were about 2 years left in their 5-year cycle, the remaining dollars for the 5 grants combined over the remaining period of the grant is about $3.2 million. And for this single year, the loss is $1.56 million. We received notice at the end of September. So at first, on the 30th of September, we received notice from the department that 3 of those grants, that our request for reconsideration was granted for 3 of them, and 2 were denied. And then the following day, we received follow-up letters saying that they were mistaken and that all 5 of them were denied. So that was a bit of a surprise. We know that despite our requests for reconsideration and really strong advocacy by our delegation, by our representatives Iscomani, our senators Kelly and Gallego, and including Representatives Stanton and Ansari, who do not represent Pima County, but who felt, since part of our district did not have a sitting representative, wanted to stand up and advocate for us as well. And so despite that strong effort from all of those people in the Arizona delegation, we still received denials of our reconsideration request. Also want to make sure we understand that there's a national organization, the Council of Opportunity and Education, COE, that represents a national association of TRIO grantees. They have filed a federal lawsuit in order to restore funding for impacted schools, including Pima College. The second thing I want to mention is the C Campus grant, because I know we talked about this a little as well. The department usually, we were at the end of our cycle. It's a 4-year cycle, and we were at the end of our cycle, and it's sort of a routine process to reapply for a new grant, and the application for new grantees was never made available by the department, and so we have lost access to those dollars that ended on the 30th of September as well. For Hispanic serving institutions, there has been update to this slide, and I didn't get the new slide in time for this presentation, but we have some new numbers. This is the information we used last presentation. But on September 10th, the Department of Ed announced a discontinuation of funds for the entirety of minority serving institution grants, and the intent to redistribute those to HBCUs and tribal colleges. The risk to Pima College, we mentioned at the time, there are 3 active HSI grants at the time that notice was received. We know that now, with the update, 1 of those grants has been completed. The second grant, which is a STEM IT grant, is in its final year, which accounts for about $875,000 in this final year that is subject to being lost. And then the other large one is the Strive Online program that was terminated, which had $1.8 million left. The college is planning to use the remaining carryover funds for a no-cost extension. That was one of the stipulations in the notice, was that the department we would be able to carry over those funds. And so we intend to use the dollars we have left to continue as long as we can, holding on to some staff, things like that. So the net loss to PCC as an updated number is $2.7 million. We still, so far, the notification we received from the department was essentially the public letter that went out from the department was released to, about HSI grants in their entirety. And so we haven't received any sort of very specific, identifiers of the specific grants we have, and we're sort of waiting to see if that's going to happen or where we're at. But that's where we are so far. And also important to note that the association The Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, HACU, which is the national association representing HSIs, has also filed a federal lawsuit to preserve these funds for all members, which includes Pima College. On the adult education front, so we owe a Title II. We spoke about this last month as well, but just wanted to remind you that those dollars were suspended for about a month, and then through some pressure from members of Congress and senators, those funds were released, and Pima College received an award on August 1st for about $4 million, which comprises about half of our total adult education budget. The important thing to note as an update for now is that the current budget numbers for the fiscal year we've entered since October 1st are uncertain. The House bill that was passed by the committee, the Appropriations Committee, zeroed out funds for adult education for Title II. And in the Senate, they maintained current levels. So there's obvious disagreement there. Congress, as we know, is in shutdown, and this is not part of any meaningful negotiation happening right now. So this still is somewhat up in the air. Assuming something like a CR happens, these are still unresolved pieces, and so we will continue to closely monitor. We continue to talk to our elected officials and make sure they understand the importance of these dollars, and monitoring for now. Finally, just what we do know, which is pretty limited. We know that the September 30th, or we've entered the new fiscal year as of October 1st, because none of the appropriations bills have passed. We are in shutdown, except for essential services and then other things that are defined. The Office Federal Student Aid, FSA, at the Department of Ed is understaffed. I think a third or a half of its employees have been furloughed, but they still say they're going to have business as usual in their operations, despite that great reduction. We know that as far as the impact to the college, what we can say basically is that for now, dollars, grants that have been received and drawn down are in our possession, and we don't have to worry about that. As we start butting up against deadlines where people have to do work that are in furlough right now, that's when things will start being affected, and that will affect everybody. Another big piece of, for federal employees is that, this week will be a paycheck that will happen or not, depending on depending on the state of the government. And so that is what we know. Essentially, the longer the shutdown lasts, the more that effect will be felt. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
Chair Taylor?
Yeah.
I just had a question for you. You might not have the answer to it. For C Campus, approximately how many families, or children, I guess we would look at it, how many are we looking at being affected by that?
I know I've seen that number many times at this point, but I don't have it off the top of my head. I can get back to you with that, though, if you'd like.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure.
The last time I visited, they had 2 classrooms with 10 to 14 children in each. I'm not sure if they rotate or if they're all day, but
There's other funding for it, though. I think they get some
Yes.
PEEPS money, and then there's also, there's other money.
Yeah, so I will say that also so not all of the.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, Board. So the 2 programs we have on campus are not going away. Those are staying there. what this impacts, it impacts those students that were receiving vouchers to go to other child care centers off of Pima's campuses because of travel issues or whatever, transportation issues. So, but we are, Pima is still supporting the programs that we have, not Pima, but our partnerships with child parent centers, First Things First, what's the Head Start. So yeah, so that's not impacting those. And so what Pima has also done for those students that were going to be impacted at those other child care centers, Pima is picking up the difference until they complete their programs. So. Right.
Thank you, Edgar. Any other questions?
I just have I know that we have 5 out of 10 of the TRIO grants have been, discontinued. What is the status of the other 5, and are you worried about it?
So the other 5 were funded for this year. I think one observation is that the 5 that were discontinued were upward bound, right? And so upward bound is the portion of the TRIO grants that's very high school focused. It's about structured around supporting high school students on a path to higher ed, first generation low income students. And so the grants that were funded are different kinds of TRIO grants. I believe there was one of them is an upward bound grant, but it's directed towards veteran students, and so it's different. But the 5 upward bound, so we had 5 upward bound grants at the high schools, and all 5 of those were suspended. And it is the other grants are continued. I think we certainly are concerned because we're keeping an eye on where things are going, right? Eventually, the 5-year cycles end, and we have to apply for renewal. Those are all sort of benchmarks that create a different level of concern, right? And also, I think there is a lot of, I think in general, just there's a lot of unpredictability still that we're being as cautious as we can.
When does that 5-year cycle end?
So I believe most of the grants, and I don't know the specifics on them, some of them we had a 1-year continuation from a grant that was expiring. And then I know most of the grants were 2027 were the expiration of them, but we could get you more specifics if that's helpful.
Just one more question, I'm sorry. So I read somewhere that the U of A also gets some TRIO grants. And I know there's different sections of TRIO, so I don't know if I'm comparing apples to apples. But do you know if some of the sections of TRIO that we had canceled, if those continue on at the U of A, or am I comparing apples to oranges?
Yeah, I think so. Those they wouldn't be the same grants. If the U of A has grants, I don't know much about what's happening at the university. But they're separate.
Thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, first and foremost, thank you, Joseph and Libby, for the work that you're doing. I think it's important to recognize that this is a challenging time for all of us, right? And while these are federal grants and programs that the federal government puts together, I really do appreciate the fact that you both and in our leadership have taken the steps to, one, communicate with us, and also, more importantly, communicate with our legislators, because at the end of the day, these are federal programs, and we need their advocacy, we need their support in order to ensure that we continue to have this great privilege of supporting our students, our high school students. So I appreciate the advocacy that you all are doing, and that we will continue to do to make sure that this continues to happen. But it is going to be something that is going to be a continuation of conversations and advocacy with our legislators. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? No? All right. Thank you so much, Joseph. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your work, and Libby, yours as well. So with the conclusion of that, let's move on to the public comment period. So that way, as I said, you all at least have the same information now that we have in terms of where we are with our federal funding. So again, if you want to speak and haven't filled out a card, please do so. You can just come up here and hand it to me if you want, or you can put it in the little tray over there, and hopefully somebody can bring it over to me while I'm moderating all of this. The first card I have here is Alberto Campos. Alberto, are you here? Yeah. If you haven't done this before, by the way, not specifically you, Alberto, but I'm just saying in general, you have 3 minutes, so the timer will track you on the thing there. It'll go yellow and then go red when your time has expired. Started whenever you're ready.
So, okay. All right, so it's going to go yellow, then red, right? All right, good afternoon. My name is Alberto C. Campos, and I'm here to speak about the TRIO Upward Bound grants that were canceled. These grants were fundamental for me. I'm a former alumni. I can speak to the testament of what these grants do and what the services that they provide. It's when I saw the news that these were going to be canceled and the changes with the Department of Education. I knew there were going to be cuts, but to me, this was out of the blue, unexpected. I'm going to tell you a little story about myself just to get you a snapshot. This is the impact that this program had on me. I am a first-generation college student. The services that the Upward Bound program provided were fundamental in my continuing education, graduating from high school, graduating from a post-secondary education of higher education. I think I repeated myself. And as well as attending that college and graduating from that college. They were fundamental in preparing me for that level of education. I graduated from NAU, class of 2015. I was part of the TRIO Upward Bound program from 2007 to 2011. And during that time, the service that they provided were things like FAFSA. I didn't know what FAFSA was. My parents didn't know what FAFSA was. My father didn't attend a post-secondary education of higher education. My mother is an immigrant for the full intent of that word. Okay, she was from Mexico, and she came here looking for anyone else, I believe, looks for the American dream, right? And now she's a U.S. citizen. But I know the challenges that come along the way. And I can speak to the vitality of these programs that they should continue on. I disagree with the decision by the United States Department of Education. I don't think it's in the best service for those students, especially for first-generation college students that don't necessarily know how to get there. And these Upward Bound program provided the way to get there. It became, instead of an impossibility, a possibility to make higher education, to reach that level. Okay, I wasn't going to get emotional about this, but I can't help to, because it hits close to home. And that's something that I think all of us have in common. Thank you for your time, and I strongly urge you to join the COE lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Education, because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sarah Hannah Gomez. I'm sorry, PhD, Dr. Sarah Hannah Gomez.
This is for tall people. Thank you for letting me speak today. So I'm Dr. Sarah Hannah Gomez. I'm going to start with my end and then go with my beginning in case I run out of time, because it really just boils down to this. Cowards lay down in front of bullies. If you don't want to be cowards, if you want to actually do your jobs and support your constituents, you'll join the lawsuit, because this is an unlawful cancellation of the Upward Bound grants. Now, I'm someone who has had a lot of educational experiences in my life. I was born and raised in Tucson, attended TUSD public schools K-7, went to St. Gregory, now the Gregory School for 8 to 12, Wallace Senior at St. Gregory, took a class at Pima downtown, Went to the University of Arizona. After I graduated, I worked for a summer at Upward Bound teaching in their summer program at Desert Vista, got my master's degrees at a private university in Boston, worked at an independent school in the Bay Area, came back to Tucson, got my PhD at the College of Education, taught as an adjunct at Emporia State University in Kansas. I'm the child of 2 retired teachers. I'm the sister of an award-winning teacher, the sister-in-law of an Upward Bound coordinator. I know a lot of different educational atmospheres, and I have never been more impressed with any than with Upward Bound. It's been 15 years since I taught for Upward Bound, and those students still stand out in my mind, and so do my colleagues. They were the most interesting, the most self-possessed. They taught me the most about myself and about how to be a teacher when I was a know-nothing college grad who was just like, I need a summer job, here I am. They really it's a program like no other, and it produces students who respect and value education in a way that many of my private school classmates and then private school students really just didn't have a sense of at all. It's a remarkable program that really changes people, and not just the communities that you think you're helping or dragging up from the bottom. It really, as someone who I was the first generation to get a doctorate in my family, but not the first generation to go to college. So by luck, I didn't need Upward Bound, but it turns out I really did, because I learned a lot about myself and was really happy to work with those students. So again, don't be cowards. Bullies never just go, oh, thanks, we will never bother you again after they come for one thing. So this is really, your chance to stand up. So please join the lawsuit.
Thank you. The next, first name is Cassandra. Cassandra, I will probably butcher your last name, so please correct. Is it Charia? There you go. Thank you. I'm terrible at rolling my R's, so I apologize.
This starts by itself?
It'll start by itself, yeah. As soon as you start, it'll go. There you go.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Cassandra Chavarria, and I'm a former student of Trio Upward Bound from the Desert Vista campus, and I'm a current alumni of the University of Arizona. So your mission statement states that you guys put emphasis on meeting the diverse needs of all the students who are trying to better themselves through education. Our students, the Trio Upward Bound students, are students who are all dreamers. They're students who aspire to break the systems of oppression that are trying to keep them away from pursuing higher education. And these students are a shared population between the high schools they attend, Sunnyside High School and Desert View High School, and your guys' campus. And through the Trio Upward Bound program, they become a shared population. And they're students who have a lot of might and a lot of courage, and they aspire change through education, because Trio Upward Bound has helped them fall in love with education, and many of them are trying to pursue it. And they all have diverse needs that need to be met. Some of these diverse needs can be met through culturally relevant guidance that can be given by leaders that understand the specific needs of these students, such as our leaders that we can find in the Upward Bound programs. This helps because when you enter university, something that we don't know is that a lot of underprivileged colored students, they face the educational barrier that is the hidden curriculum. And the hidden curriculum affects underprivileged POC students because many of them have never been, don't have the multi-generational exposure to this institutional knowledge, and therefore don't know what steps to take to reach their educational goals. So this is a matter of privilege, and privilege should not dictate whether these students achieve their goals or are able to pursue higher education. And the best thing about Trio Upward Bound is their sense of community. That's something that they engrave into every single one of us students. The community, not only a community of learners and scholars, but also a community of friends who are here to advocate for one another because we believe in each other, we believe in ourselves, and we believe in the purpose. We're all community of first-generation students who don't really know how to get to the place we want educationally, and we're just here to support each other. And for that reason, I urge you guys to join the COE lawsuit and help us defend our students and their dreams and aspirations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next is Sebastian Dominguez, who I think is on Zoom. Is he online? Sebastian, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, please. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
So my experience with the Upward Bound program has really been impactful in my life because when I was in high school, I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that I wanted to go to college, but I didn't account with the orientation that you need to fill in scholarships and do all your tests and do well in school at the same time. And these people, Carlos, Danny, and all the wonderful people that were in that program really helped me fill in all that, and they paid for our college applications. And by taking this away from many students, they're not only going to deny the opportunity to go to college, but they're going to be lost because they're not going to know what to do. And I think that it's not going to stop there. It's really taking away the right to get an education, because I think that education is a right and not a privilege. And I ask that you give the Upward Bound program their grant back. Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Next on the list is Hakima Abdul Qadir. And please correct me if I mispronounced your name.
Hi, my name is Hakeem Abdelkader, and I'm a junior at the University of Arizona. And I stand with TRIO Upward Bound in all TRIO programs, and I stand before the board and ask you that you join the COE lawsuit. I think throughout the days while contemplating on coming here, one thing that was coming through my mind is, what am I gonna say to you guys? And the only thing I found out is we're all very tired. It's tiring. Some of these kids shouldn't even be here. Not to say that we're not entitled to be in this space, but they shouldn't be here. We're the adults of today. We have a duty. I know I'm only like 20 years old, and I'm like a baby in the adulthood world, but I have a duty too. And it's like what he said, education is a right, not a privilege. And it's tiring to see people say, oh, if you work hard enough for something in life, you can obtain it. And then them determine what educational rights you deserve. True Upward Bound is magic. It's beautiful. These kids deserve to take up all the space in the world. I'm a product of True Upward Bound. When my steps were a little shaky throughout my educational journey, I actually leaned on Pima Community College. I came back home and transferred. Pima got me right again. And then Upward Bound gave me a job. They reminded me I'm more than exceptional. And throughout being their tutor, these kids helped me re-fall in love with education again. Why is it that someone has the audacity to be like, this is what you deserve in education? Education is a righteous desire. Why implement limitations, restrictions? It is so tiring. I commend these kids because they have a nobility in their steps. Every step they take is scary. They understand there's consequences if I mess up, or I can be 3 steps behind, but they still do it because they understand the value of education. So why not invest in that? Why not keep fighting for it? We say this is federally challenged, that we have our legislators, but don't deny your power. You're in these seats for a reason. You were once classroom dreamers too. I asked yourself to see yourself in these students' shoes. You were once classroom dreamers who had ambitions and curiosities too. Enact in that. You are in that seat, you're in that position for a reason. Do it with the spine, do it with audacity, do it with courage. We are very tired of people saying what the marginalized body deserves in America. But guess what? We still show up for ourselves time and time and time and time again. Again, I shouldn't be here. I should be figuring out what the heck my professor said in the class today. That's what I should be figuring out. But that's not the case. Having people who can show you what it means to live in color instead of black and white is a beautiful experience. It's not a luxury, it's not a privilege, it's beautiful and it's righteous. These kids understand the value of education. And time again, they're told, oh, there's this wrong with this generation, this wrong with this generation. But they don't take it to heart, they keep going. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Romero is next.
Good evening. My name is Miriam Romero. I am Arizona's 2018 ELD Teacher of the Year. I have not taught upward bound students. I have never taught high school, only elementary. But I have written many recommendations for my own students to enter TRIO programs. And one of the reasons I'm always happy to do that is because I see the difference it makes in my students' lives. Most of my students are first generation to go to college, as well as first generation Americans. To allow programs like those in TRIO to be pushed out of Tucson shows weak leadership and great short-sightedness. Yes, you may appease the current federal administration, but you do so at the cost of your most promising youth who look to you for guidance and protection. As a society, we will have to pay for these sins tenfold in the not-so-distant future. Helping promising low-income youth to go to college does indeed have an upfront cost, the cost of such programs as Upward Bound. But this is pennies on the dollar compared to what we would pay in subsidiary programs when these same young people are not supported and fall victim to the trials and the hardships they are trying their very best to overcome by getting a college education. The TRIO programs support our youth, our public school system, our colleges, our universities, and our society at large. To allow this cancellation without putting up a fight, to allow the cancellation of these programs without putting up a fight is to let yourself and your own children down. Thank you.
Thank you. Michaela Hayes, next on the list.
All right. Good evening, board members, Chancellor Nassy, colleagues and guests. Michaela Hayes, PCCA president, math faculty, and AET ERC co-chair. I don't know about you, but I grew up loving books and movies. I loved mysteries and thrillers, but nothing caught my attention and fascination like a good underdog story. I watched Robin Hood and cheered for him to one-up the Sheriff of Nottingham. I loved The Court Jester and watching Danny Kaye frustrate corruption plans with his goofy style. I rooted for the fairies in Fern Gully. I identified with Katniss in The Hunger Games and imagined traveling alongside Sam and Frodo in Lord of the Rings and dreamed of fighting alongside Luke, Han, and Leia in Star Wars. Neo and Trinity were amazing in The Matrix, how they stood up to Mr. Smith. I watched A Bug's Life and rooted for Flick and his friends. Such good quotes from that movie. And I cheered on Harry, Hermione, and Ron, identifying with the nerdy girl with crazy hair who didn't fit in. And the chills that Umbridge still gives me with her pink suit and smug smile. I wrote that before I got dressed this morning. Oops. I couldn't get enough of Les Mis, Hamilton, Sound of Music, and so many more. But what do all of these things have in common? They all showcase an unlikely hero standing up in the face of a powerful bully. They all detail a fight worth fighting and a cause worth risking it all for. I used to wonder when I heard the stories of the Holocaust and of Anne Frank and others, what would I have done? I remember being awed and amazed when hearing about how my beloved kindergarten teacher, who I thought of as the embodiment of Snow White, had been arrested for marching in civil rights years before I was born. I wondered, even at 5 years old, if I would be strong enough to stand up for something in such a way. Unfortunately, I feel like we may start to find out. I want to be on the right side of history in my actions. The government came for Columbia University. They caved, and they paid. Then they came for Harvard, and they caved too. Now they've sent letters to 9 more universities asking for capitulation. U of A, just down the road, is on that list. I find it interesting that 8 of those colleges that were targeted, including Columbia, Harvard, and U of A, were established even before their respective states joined the USA. This administration has attacked public education funding, funding, their rules, their admission requirements, and the content they can teach. They've cut funding to our programs like TRIO and Strive Online because they either don't recognize the disparity it was addressing, or they're purposely disadvantaging populations by denying them access to education. Where will it end? I don't have a specific ask tonight, but I want to remind us all of another book from my childhood, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I challenge us all to stand. Don't capitulate. The attacks are going to continue. This is the time to find out which characters we will align with in today's stories that are still being written. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Carlos Romero is next.
All right. So I want to open by first thanking the college and the board for funding our program the month of September. We got the no-cost extension that every Upward Bound got. We had already spent our funds, so we really appreciate you stepping up and doing that for us. I'm the longtime coordinator for the Upward Bound program at Desert Vista. We're the program that has produced 2 Gates, 12 Dell, 2 Questbridge, 1 Flynn, and 7 Doran scholars. We sent students to 28 different colleges around the country. Just 1.5 years ago, we partnered with NASA for the Education Downlinks program, one of only 6 programs in the country that was able to do that. And the students were able to ask questions of the astronaut Jeanette Epps when she was live at the ISS. And the chancellor and the college were happy to shout us out at All College Day during his first week on the job. You praised us in the good times. Now you must defend us in the bad. Tucson has faced situations like this before. Pima has faced situations like this before, like in 2017 when it joined a lawsuit to support DACA students. So you have a precedent. 13 years ago, TUSD was attacked by the state and forced to destroy its MOS program that closed the achievement gap better than any program in that district's history. The Tucson community asked the TUSD board to sue the state. They refused. So the students and teachers in the program had to sue on their own. 5 years later, they won the case when the Federal Circuit Court ruled the state law that ended the program was unconstitutional due to racial animus. But the damage was done, the program was long gone, and has still never been reinstated in TUSD. In our case here, TRIO Upward Bound would not be challenging a state law. We would be challenging the U.S. Department of Education and their use of a clause in the federal regulations that is normally used to cancel programs for performance and budgetary reasons. But you cannot wait to file a lawsuit. You must do it now. You must join the COE lawsuit now. In terms of our grant objectives, our program has met all 6 of them every year for the last 5 years. 50% college graduation rate the last 5 years. For the U.S. Department of Education to suggest that we conflict with their policy of prioritizing merit and fairness, or that we violate the letter and purpose of federal civil rights law without any explanation of their policy or any findings or citations or notice of where we violate the law is absurd and unfounded. They're accusing a civil rights program of violating civil rights. Their cancellation letter also said that we put in our proposal that we'd have community partners to put on racial justice workshops, including service learning as well, except those words are not in our proposal. Pima's DEI plan is not in our proposal. Can I petition for 30 more seconds?
If you can make it quick, yeah.
Thank you. Maybe it's when we have workshops on public speaking. Maybe it's when we do hiking field trips in Sabino Canyon. Maybe it's when we plant trees in Southside Tucson neighborhoods. Or maybe it's when we tour the African American History Museum of Southern Arizona. But I think I have it. It's when we gave Sonoran hot dogs at one of our senior, graduation ceremonies. I think that's what really got the feds. It's really about denying brown and black kids access to higher education. That's what it's about. They don't want to say that in their letter, but that's what it's about. And was it not Voltaire that said, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities? The reasons for canceling are the absurdities, and the dismantling of the program is the atrocity. So I'm asking you, Dr. Jeff Nassy, Greg Taylor, Carla Bernal Morales, Dr. Nicole Barraza, Teresa Riel, and Kristen Ann Randall. Okay, I need you to understand that Pima College is already being targeted. Tucson is being targeted. Standing quiet will not bring our grant money back. Fascists cannot be appeased. You must fight back. You can't win the fight until you step into the ring. So we're asking you to challenge them in court. Tucson will stand behind you. Do the right thing, join the COE lawsuit, and sue these fascist bastards. Thank you very much. I love you, Upward Bound.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Nana Margaret.
David Morales is next.
Hello, everybody. Got a little emotional earlier because I don't know if you guys know this, but their last day is Friday. It's that. Good evening, Chairman Taylor, Dr. Barraza, Ms. Real, Ms. Randall, Ms. Bernal Morales, Chancellor Nassy, and the members of the Tucson community. My name is David Morales, and I was born and raised in Marana. Working in the cotton fields alongside migrant families as a teenager, and I took my first Pima class at the age of 16. The dozens of credits I have earned here were crucial from graduating from the U of A and continuing on to my doctoral studies in applied mathematics. That journey is the promise Pima College makes to our community, a promise you must now defend. It's the promise I fought for. I was once a member of the math faculty here, and I used to sit right there as a faculty senate liaison. Tonight I speak not just as an educator, but as a witness. The same civil rights crisis we see on our streets when masked agents take women and children has now reached our school through policy. This assault on our students is a targeted attack on Tucson's future. Millions in federal support for TRIO and Upward Bound and other Lifeline programs has been ripped away when low-income first-generation students need it most. These programs are not just line items, they are ladders for thousands of Tucson families. TRIO alone serves over 1,500 Pima students a year, launching them into further education at rates that dwarf the county averages. Without these programs, that ladder is gone. Nationally, TRIO doubles the graduation rates for students who are in their first in their families to attend college. This isn't just about statistics. Over the weekend, I met someone who worked at the Upward Bound program at the Northwest campus for 12 years. She told me how they literally save lives, helping homeless students from youth on their own find a future. Her office is now gone, closed this summer, a casualty of this racist attack from the current administration, and we know they've only begun. Like I said, this Friday, they close. I saw that life-changing work firsthand. As a math teacher at Desert Vista, I volunteered to tutor calculus students from both Sunnyside and Desert View high schools, using those same Upward Bound offices after school. I love seeing Desert Vista campus filled with such a diversity of students during the summer. First-generation white students, students from Africa, Mexican-American students, all spending their time in the classroom, off the streets, and away from trouble. This is what we are losing. Let's not pretend this is about budgets and paperwork. These are ideological attacks, not policy tweaks. The Department of Education is making substantiated claims of civil rights violations to destroy programs rooted in equity and opportunity. Silence will not shield us. It will only embolden the aggressors. History warns us that cowardice allows injustice to spread. This isn't the first time this board has faced such a choice. When I was a faculty member, when the first term began in 2000, let me finish this. Let me get to the end. Just moments ago, we began by acknowledging the land of the Tono O'odham and the Pascua Yaqui. We must do more than just say words. We must honor their spirit. We must remember our Yaqui ancestors who, when the enemy came, drew a line in the sand and said, "This far, no further." They chose to fight for their people. That line in the sand is a legacy of this land. Tonight, you inherit that legacy and you face that same choice. Let this be our line in the sand. Join the COE lawsuit. Stand with your students and fight for their future. The time to be courageous for them is now.
Thank you. Francisco Quintana.
Good evening, board members. I am a proud student of the Upward Bound program, and for me, Upward Bound isn't just a program, it's a second chance for families who work hard, struggle, and just Upward Bound makes it a possibility to go to college. And for many, it's reasons that we don't give up. It's a light that guides us and that gives us opportunities, but the light is not being dimmed. The Department of Education is already taking multiple grants and the funding that helps keep the programs alive and the spirits alive too. And in doing so, it takes away opportunities to change lives and some opportunities that students can never get back. Some people think it's better to stay quiet and that silence will make everything go away, but silence won't save. Silence won't protect those students who depend on these programs. Silence won't bring back what's been taken. We can't afford to be quiet or to stand down. We need leaders who are willing to take a stand, who are willing to fight for the students and fight for Tucson, and fight for what's right. Pima, this is your chance to show that you believe in us, and that you believe in equal opportunities and fairness, and the power of education to change lives. Please stand with us. Please stand with your students and with your community. Pima, please join the CEO lawsuit.
Thank you. Next is Maria Torosa Alejandres.
Good evening. Honestly, I wasn't planning on coming up here, but seeing as how our opportunities are being taken from us, it's kind of a push to come up here. I know that for me personally, I am not a first generation, but I would be a second person to go to college. And with Trio Upward Bound being taken from us, I don't know if that's gonna happen. I am a sophomore in high school, and honestly, I didn't think I was gonna make it that far in life. But with Upward Bound, I somehow did, thankfully. And, sorry.
Take your time.
Upward Bound gave me opportunities that I didn't think I would have. They have helped in tough times at home, school, anything. And I didn't think I was going to get out of it. I didn't think I was going to get out of problems that I did get out of. And Carlos was there for me, thankfully. Carlos, Danny, Kim, everyone was there. The people in the Upward Bound Trios are amazing. They're people I am forever grateful for. I cherish every memory I have made with them. I learned how to plant trees, never thought I was going to. Never thought I was going to plant a tree and actually have it survive. So yay me. And I know that with these programs being taken away, I don't know if I'll even make it to college. My parents do not have a high school diploma, a college education. They don't have a lot. And I know that they came here to give me those opportunities that they didn't have, but those opportunities are also being taken. So where do I go now? Sorry.
Take your time.
I know that you might not care what I have to say, and I don't honestly blame you. I don't expect you to care what I have to say, what I've gone through. Doesn't matter. But I know that some people have children in this room, and we want the best for those children. But if you do want the best for those children, why take the opportunities away? We say that the kids are our future, but what is the future with the programs being taken? There's not a lot, I know. And True Upward Bound has changed my life a lot. I have done stuff that I never thought I was going to do. Didn't think I was going to make it to high school, honestly, let alone be a sophomore. But I am forever grateful for these programs and the people I have met. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your courage for coming up there, and I do promise we all care deeply about what you have to say, so thank you for sharing that. Craig Legat is next. Craig, yeah.
Good evening, board. Everybody, my name is Craig. I'm a transfer student from Tallahassee Community College. Now, I've been here since 2018. My mom sent me an email. She said, "We're old, we're sick, come home." So I got in a bus Thursday, July 12th, 2018. I got here on an express the next night and spent my dad's 74th birthday with him on Saturday. Anyway, I'm attending school right now. I'm majoring in social services, and I have a project to do for an SSE class that was opened up the door for this. Okay, check this out. And Florida is one of 6 states that offers free college to people that are homeless. Okay, I was homeless. I lived in a shelter, folks, that was right across the street from FSU. Now I'm going to school, and I see people that live at the shelter with me. They're wearing chef's uniforms. They're taking the culinary, and the next thing you know, when they get their financial aid, they don't have to pay tuition. It's waived. So guess what they do with their money? They get cars, they get apartments, and they get out of homelessness. On my way here from Rancho Saladita, I was coming up golf links, and there's a big camp over, you guys know where I'm talking about. How many of these people will take advantage of a program that's instituted at TCC? Now, I thought that was a TCC thing. Now, for my SSE class I'm doing this report on, that's a state law, man. I had no idea. I thought that was a Tallahassee Community College program, but no, it is a state law. Now, I have seen firsthand, folks, dozens of people come out of homelessness. If we could get, I don't know how to get the ball rolling except for to come here and tell you guys, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people taking culinary, and next thing you know, they got apartments, man. They have their licenses back. They're not living at a shelter or in a tent, for that matter. I lived in a tent for 5 months, and to prove that I was homeless, my pastor wrote a letter on church letterhead stating, "I bought Craig Legat a tent, and this is where he's camped out at." But I have seen dozens of people, folks, get out of homelessness, and we all know that we have a major homeless population in Tucson. Now, I planted the seed. I don't know what to do with it now, okay? But we need to bring it somewhere so it becomes a law, just like it is in Florida and 5 other states. Actually, there are 15 other states besides Florida that have programs similar, but exactly like Florida, to give homeless people free education and get them off the streets, get out of tents, and get lives.
Thank you.
But I've seen it firsthand. Thank you for your time.
Is it Zache Lignan? Zache Lignan.
Good evening. My name is Xochitl Yan, and I am an alumni of the Outward Bound program. I thought I would start by telling you all a story. My abuelita, grandmother, for those of you who do not speak Spanish, was about 16 when she came over to this country from Mexico. At this point in her life, both of her parents had passed, and she spoke little to no English. She eventually learned, of course, from Sesame Street, of all things, another program being defunded. She worked tirelessly to clean the homes and take care of the children of wealthy white families in the area. When my father was a child, about 6 or so, my abuelita received a letter from the Reagan administration stating that she would receive citizenship. She took the letter, along with a couple of other documents, to the consulate in Tijuana. With nothing but the hope of a letter, she left Tucson and journeyed to the Tijuana consulate with my father. As they were standing in line for their documents to be reviewed, my father noticed person after person coming out of the office with tears in their eyes. At this age, he didn't quite understand why they were crying, but he just knew that he didn't want his mother to cry. When the time came for their documents to be reviewed, the staff took one look at the letter and let them through. By the grace of a letter, my abuelita and my father were able to come home, and I'm happy to say that she's a citizen today. Now, you may be asking what this story has to do with Upward Bound. My father told me this story when I was in high school, shortly after I had been accepted into the program. And he told me, "Mija, you have opportunities that I never dreamed of, opportunities that your abuelita fought for. Do not squander it." So I implore you, please do everything in your power to prevent the utter decimation of this program, a program that is the embodiment of the spirit of the American dream. And who are any of us in this room to deny it? Thank you.
Thank you. And our final public comment from Jareth Gildorame. Please feel free to correct my pronunciation if I messed that up. All right.
Okay. Hi, good evening. Thank you guys for having me here. My name is Jareth Gildorame. I'm a first-generation student currently attending the University of Arizona. I just graduated last year from TRIO Upward Bound. And to be honest, I really didn't know how to tackle this. I didn't know who I was going to be talking to, so I did what I usually do, and I researched. I looked your guys' names up, and I learned a little bit about you guys and what you guys have done in your past up until this point. And a lot of it was helping minorities. It was helping teenagers. It was helping families. It was helping. And I feel like that is what TRIO Upward Bound does every year, each and every year, to so many different students. It's incredible to kind of see that there's so much more like alumni out there that I've never even met, but we were both once a part of the same programs, both a part of the same things that TRIO helps us with. I truly believe that without TRIO, none of us would be where we are. It is a very crazy thing to say because, like many of the other speakers have said, education is not a privilege, it's a right. And I feel like TRIO really embodies that. One thing that they have told me a lot is about knowing that even in college, I deserve to be there. And it is something that I kind of struggle with now because I'm kind of feeling like the reverse of like culture shock. I don't see my people at college. I don't see my people around me. I don't feel as welcomed as I used to in high school. But I know that there's chances out there for people to get to college, to get to that level where they are comfortable around where they are. But I feel like because of this administration, many are not going to be able to get there at all. So that's why I implore and I beg you all to sue the Department of Education, because without TRIO, without the people that we meet, without the opportunities to go off to different colleges, I had the opportunity to go to California and visit 3 colleges. That opened my eyes to a whole new world that I never knew existed. I thought my world just was Tucson, but it's not. And it won't be. It won't always be Tucson, and it won't always be for the next generations. But they won't know that if they're never given the opportunity. So again, I implore you guys to truly do what's right. And one thing I also want to know is that I know a few of you guys have kids, and it's edited in your guys' like biography or whatnot. But you guys are those role models to those kids. We don't have those role models. The role models that we have are the ones that graduate from TRIO, like Kim, like us, like me. I'm probably a role model to one of these kids out there, probably, hopefully. But yeah, again, I truly implore you guys to do what's right, because whether you guys choose to sue the Department of Education or not, you guys are going to go down in history for helping us or standing against us. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. that is the final of the cards I have, unless there are more. I don't see any more sitting up on the table. So thank you all for your time. There was a public comment that was submitted in writing, and if you're the person that did that, that'll be provided in writing to the board and will be included in the minutes of the meeting as well. So with public comment concluded, we'll move on to the next section, the summary of current events by board members. Board Member Randall, is there anything you'd like to share?
Thank you, Chair Taylor. Libby stole my thunder talking about the National Adult Education and Family Literacy Week proclamation. So I just wanted to once again say that it was really nice to be able to walk down the street and go see that, and congratulations to the folks who received that proclamation. It's meaningful. And I am probably, our attorney will let me know if I'm stretching the rules here. This is an event that I attended, and it does tie into the community college. So I'm looking at him over there. So I am a current Flynn Brown, I'm currently in the Flynn Brown Fellowship Program, and I had the opportunity to speak with one of my cohort about Upward Bound, and she was, I'm still gonna look at you if you, okay. And it's great because it's a kind of fellowship for a meeting of the minds, and to really, it's for policy people for the state of Arizona. And this is a really powerful woman who is actually from Tucson and is a product of Upward Bound. And she did end up going to ASU, sorry, Wildcats. And she now works in Phoenix doing policy work for education. But she was able to sit down with me, talk about Upward Bound, how much it meant to her. And she, even though she did defect and go to ASU, she considers herself Pima. So that was very meaningful to me and timely.
All right, Board Member Rial.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to everybody who came to speak today. When we sit up here and we make the decisions, we use what we know and our lived experiences, and I'm just really thankful that you shared all of your experiences with us, so thank you for being here. This has been a fun month for me. I went to the United States Air Force paramedic graduation. It's the only, Pima Community College is the only college or university that the U.S. Air Force allows their employees to come to be trained for this paramedic degree. I think they said it was 130 days, and they did like 13,000 hours. So I did the math, and it was just outrageous. But anyway, I've been walking up and down Tumamock Hill every other day, and I would like to say it's been really a joy to see some of my colleagues. And I ran into the women's basketball team and their coach at the very top of the hill, and it was just thrilling to see Pima out and about. I yelled, "Yay, go Pima women," and they all cheered and screamed. It was very exciting. I attended a women's volleyball game at the West Campus. They were amazing athletes, very kind, and just talk about grit and determination, those young women hustling out there. So if you have a chance, go out and see some of the Pima College sports. The following day, I went to a soccer match. The women had a soccer game, and then the men had a soccer game, and I felt a little weird at that one because a bunch of people kept asking me who my child was out on the field. And when I told them I didn't have any kids, "Oh, what about your grandkid?" "No, I don't have any grandkids." They all sort of looked at me like I was doing something wrong. But so if more of us go out and support our teams, I think the parents would be a little more okay with that. Last week, I attended a Running and Winning event at Cholla High School put on by the League of Women Voters, and they had about 80 to 90 junior and senior women who were interested in possibly running for an elected position. And I did try to tell them I answered all of their questions, but then when there were lulls in the questions, I questioned them about filling out their FAFSA and had they decided where they were going to go to college, and talked about all of the amazing things at Pima Community College. So I hope some of those women, know that education is definitely an amazing possibility for all of us. I went to the Chamber of Southern Arizona Business Summit, and one thing that they talked about was change. Institutional change is really, really tricky, and it's because we're used to doing what we're doing. It's the thing that feels good, and I won't go into the whole thing, but the man said, cross your arms. And so, he crossed your arms in front of you, and then he said, look down. 85% of the time, you'll cross your arms the same way. So that was an interesting thing. And then he said, change your arms. And it was sort of laborious. It was hard to move them around. And that's what institutional change is. We're going from what we're used to, what's the same, to something new. And sometimes that change is difficult. So I'm trying to keep that in the back of my mind. Attended the Faculty Senate meeting this past week. And I just want to say that I know there are all sorts of groups at the college who put in lots of hours, but it was a 2+ hour meeting, and there were, I'm going to say, 50+ people there, staff, faculty, and administrators. And just thank you all for doing what you do to make sure that teaching and learning happens in a way that it's exceptional at this college. Teaching work environments, it's actually learning environments too. So if we make sure teachers have what they need, students are going to get what they need. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was I went to a fashion lab at the West Campus a couple of days ago. It was put on by a young student in the honors program, and it was very amazing. Let me see, Jessica Peel-Scott was the instructor, and she was there to give information about fashion design to all of there were over 20 people, men and women. I was sort of shocked to see men there, but I guess men can do fashion design like any of the others of us. And then to close out my week, it wasn't in the past, but starting in a week or so, PCC the Teachers Union, is having another happy hour. And so I'm inviting all of the PCC members. If you want to come to the party, talk to a PCC member, because they can bring non-members also. So we'd love to see you and talk about, the great things that are happening at the college. So thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Barraza.
I was recently invited to be part of the Governor Hobbs Latino Advisory Council. I think I was the only one from Southern Arizona in the group, and I used the opportunity to highlight the needs of our Latino community, particularly community colleges, and in light of all of federal funding loss, and see how our state the governor and legislators can work together to bridge some of those funding gaps. I also participated, as Libby said, in yesterday's tour for the Democratic legislators. In my legislative district, Representative Nancy Gutierrez; in Legislative District 20, Representative Betty Villegas; and Representative Oscar de los Santos from Legislative District 11 up in Phoenix. And I want to thank them for their advocacy, for their support of community colleges, and for spending the afternoon with us to learn more about ways that they can continue to be supportive and learn more about the great work that the college is doing. They toured the Center of Excellence for Health Professions, and I've toured it before, but I always learn something new, and it's such a critical center for our workforce needs in our community, but also, highlights the investment that the college has done, and that it's a community asset. So if any of you haven't been there, I urge you to tour it. It's a great story, and it's something that we need to continue to champion and advocate for, because it's such an asset for all of us.
Thank you. Vice Chair Brown-Morales.
I am going to be as short and sweet as I can possibly be, and for those of you that know me, it's not very short, but I'll do my best. I had the great pleasure of joining some of my fellow board members at some of the events that they mentioned, so I'm going to go ahead and skip through those. This last month in September, I had the opportunity to join Chancellor Nassi and his wife at the Mexican Independence Annual Concert at the Linda Ronson Center. I might be biased, but it's probably the best concert because it's my type of music and my type of crowd. But it was fantastic to see Pima be involved and be engaged with our Hispanic and specifically Mexican community. So thank you so much for the invitation. It was great sharing that evening with you all. I also participated I also joined the team for the Southern Arizona Go Red for Women experience. And I had a great conversation with the health professionals at the table. Also participated in Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southern Arizona Gala. I think I'm going to just go ahead and skip through the rest because I go to quite a few events, but I did want to mention that this week has been an interesting one because I've been going back and forth to Phoenix, but I was so glad that I had the opportunity to be in Phoenix yesterday at the Semicon West conference and support Amanda Abens, our Assistant Vice Chancellor for Workforce Development, as she was on a panel presentation talking about the amazing work that Pima does to really support and strengthen workforce development. Again, I think I'm biased, but she did the best in expressing what we are doing, the programs, how we are collaborating, not just across the city or across the county, but across the state and across the nation. So if you guys have an opportunity to talk to her, she did a fabulous job in representing Pima Community College. I think that's it.
Thank you. I'll just say thank you to all of you who joined us today. Thank you for your passion around this issue and your advocacy. It does make a big difference for us to hear the first-person impact of how these programs have had on your lives or maybe students that you've been serving's lives. And I really appreciate you taking the time to join us, to educate us about the impact of these programs so that we can use that knowledge in the ultimate decision that we'll make. And I agree with the comment that was said that I wish you didn't have to be here too. Not that I don't enjoy spending time with you all, but I wish you were here under more pleasant circumstances. And I would just say, if you want to continue that advocacy, certainly you can do that with us, and we appreciate your participation. But having that advocacy at the state level and the federal level is incredibly important too. So to the extent you're able to speak with or reach out to your state legislator or your representative in Congress, that makes a big difference. You know, we talked a lot about federal funding today, and hopefully soon, if Congresswoman-elect, or is that her title, or is she actually Congresswoman before she's seated? I don't know whenever she gets seated, hopefully we'll have Congresswoman Grijalva. I know she's been a longtime supporter of the college in her local elected officials, and then Congressman Siscomani has been helping to advocate for us as well as both of our senators, Gallego and Kelly. All of this is happening, and we've talked about this in different meetings and in an environment where Pima College receives virtually no state funding. So there are still plenty of individuals that I encounter that assume that we get a per person allocation from the state based on our enrollment, based on our full-time student equivalent enrollment. We haven't received that since 2009. So we have received some one-time allocations from the state legislature between then and now, but if you look at how much money we should have been receiving and then give credit for the one-time allocations, we're short $209 million since 2009 as an institution, because unfortunately the state legislature has continually decided not to fund public education at either Pima or Maricopa community colleges. The rural colleges do get state funding. So I would encourage you to make that voice heard with your state legislators and others so that they know it's a priority, and hopefully we can get that changed, because if we had that extra $209 million, it would allow us to weather some of these other funding cuts a little easier than the situation we find ourselves in now. So thank you for your time and listening to me as I keep trying to share that context. Like I said, I keep encountering people that think that we get state funding. But with that, let's move on to the second part of our mission moment. So bring Phil Burdick up to talk about social media peer mentors.
Good evening, Chancellor Nassy, Chair Taylor, members of the governing board, colleagues and guests. It's my pleasure to stand before you and talk about something that's really helped our enrollment growth this year, and that is our increased presence on social media. Last year, we made an adjustment in our budget that allowed my area for the first time to hire a full-time social media person. And her name is Elena McCansky, McCansky. And under her guidance, I think the college has really stepped up in social media, especially when it comes to Instagram, where one of our most important target audiences, Gen Z, lives. So as you can see, these are our Instagram followers. And with the help of peer mentors that she's hired and mentored, and with the help of some of the other departments that also have an Instagram presence and also use peer mentors, over 15,000 people follow us on our various Instagram accounts. And you know, today, this is how our target audience communicates. At last year's Futures Conference, I sat in a table of high school students, and they said, you know, where do you get your news from? Do you ever use Facebook or anything like that? And they just looked at me and they said, well, we use Instagram, we don't use Facebook. That's for you old people. Okay, that hurt. But it's true. They live on Facebook. They used to live on TikTok, and that was a great tool for us, and maybe that'll come back. But what I wanted to share with you are just some insights from Elena, and most importantly, insights from our peer mentors who really know our audience more than anyone else here at the college. And the growth of our Instagram accounts is really testament to their work in tapping into their world and telling them about Pima. So with that, let me just introduce Elena with a couple of words and introduce our peer mentors.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elena McCansky, and I am the social media marketing specialist for Pima. I started last January. Very happy to be here tonight to introduce my wonderful peer mentors, Lourdes and Shelby. So this fall, we expanded the social media peer mentor program to add 2 new student workers to help create content as part of an overall strategic push to shift our focus to more student-generated and student-focused content in all of our marketing efforts, not just social media, but our entire marketing strategy. So in just a few months since they started, we've already seen increases in our essential engagement metrics, which builds upon a great 6 months of growth since I started as well. Our Pima students are commenting and interacting with our posts more than ever and becoming familiar with Lourdes and Shelby as our marketing representatives. In the last 3 months alone, we've seen a 128% increase in views and a 140% increase in reach, 20% increase in followers, 30% increase in average reach per post, and then a 108% increase in comments, 60% increase in saves, and 43% increase in shares. These are important social media metrics that demonstrate that our target audience and our community of students and prospective students are actually interacting and engaging and having fun with the content that we create. The best part of all of that is that we're just getting started, and we have a lot of more ideas up our sleeves. So successful social media marketing is all about discovery, creativity, connection, inspiration, and of course having some fun and some laughs. So when you go to our Pima Instagram page, you'll see the content that my students have been creating hits all of those notes, and I'm proud to let them take it away from here. And in the background, you'll see a running reel of some of our content that they've created, as well as some content from our My Pima Future peer mentors, which are led by Manny in the outreach department, and then from PCC Art and our athletics page as well.
Hello, esteemed members of the board. It is our great privilege to meet with you and discuss the future of education and social media integrating with Gen Z. We are looking forward to spend time talking with you guys about our experience and the insight that we've been able to offer and the future of education. So as you see up here, we have amazing, fun, engaging videos. Our mission is to bring a voice to our students. We have been across the Desert Vista campus, the West Campus, the Northwest Campus. We have been at the gallery events. We've been speaking with our star students. And we've been engaging with what they see in their day-to-day life as students. So we can speak their language, give them accessible resources with nuance to bridge the gap of what it means to enroll in a community college. Some of you know that there's been a great shift in the experience of education after COVID with Gen Z. There's been a great shift in online enrollment. So showing up online is one of the best ways to meet Gen Z where they are. So that's what we do. We go and tell stories, we engage with our students, the staff, the faculty, all with this mission in mind, to put a megaphone to the excellence of Pima Community College programs. And I don't speak from this from an abstract concept. Believe it or not, I am one of the best-selling authors right now in the community of Arizona. I am a self-made author. I have published 5 books, and it only started because after high school, I decided to do enrollment through Pima Community College. And I took your testing exams. And for once in my life, I was told I was exceptional. I tested into the Honors English program. From then, I met Dr. Vorndran at the Northwest Campus, and he believed in my writing, and he helped me get published in my first series. So I believe firsthand in the excellence of Pima Community College, the advocacy that our staff and faculty do for our students. So we do the same thing, to put a megaphone to all of the hard work that each of you do, so that Gen Z students can meet you where you are, see the resources that are there, and be able to code it in the new language. Keep in mind the average attention span of a Gen Z student is about 3 seconds. So we gotta be quick, we gotta be fun, we gotta be snappy, we gotta be engaged. So that's what we do. And we do our best to keep track of trends while still keeping informed information and still being aligned with the mission, values, and purpose of the community college. So I wanna say thank you for the honor of being in front of you today, and for the honor of connecting with Gen Z students. And thank you for believing in the mission of the future of technology and social media. Thank you.
Can I make a quick comment? How come the board hasn't made it on that Instagram reel?
I make a motion to,
I second.
we need to do a reel right now.
Wait, guys, would you want to do a video with us afterwards? Oh, we'll save it. But I'm telling you, we would love to do a video with you guys. Okay? Maybe we can do like a snack recommendation or a day in the life, because our students would love to see all the hard work that you guys do to support them every day.
Don't know that we're cool enough.
That would be fun. Hello, everyone. My name is Shelby. I am currently a Pima student, and it's my 2nd year in the film program, and I'm just super honored and happy to be able to speak in front of all of you guys today. Attending school here at Pima has been absolutely amazing and has helped me create so many awesome connections, not only here through this position that I have, but also through all my classes. I have a wonderful group of classmates, teachers, and people I've met on campus, kind of everywhere. Everywhere I go, I'm like, Pima, and then I find other students other places. And yes, and not only has Pima been so great to me in my classes and my student experience, but also in my new role as a student mentor of social media marketing. I love making videos and editing them and creating, and I love having fun as well. And I'm so lucky that this role allows me to, do all of those things and also more. And I've been gaining so much real-world work experience that I never would have gotten without this role. I'm learning all about how to bring people in through marketing strategies and also how to connect with students through social media. I'm learning more about how to create a certain content that fits right for our lovely school and that helps promote all things that we have to offer here. All these things are super important for me in my future career, as all I want to do throughout the rest of my life is create and bring people together, especially through a little humor here and there. or maybe a lot of humor. But ever since the two of us started creating social media content for the pages, I've had friends and family and even new people come up to me like around the campus and say nothing but like great things about what we've been doing, and it's been like just super cool. I also hear students talking about it around the campuses as well, and they don't know I'm like right behind them, like, oh, that's me. But Pima has always had a strong sense of community, but I feel like since we've been successful so far in growing that even more and just connecting with everyone through everything that we've made. And I'm hoping we can continue to put out fun and trending stuff that gets more and more students involved, and that also helps more people get excited about enrolling and registering for classes. But yeah, that was it. It's been fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
I just want you to know that I do follow all of those, and I do check it out about 6 or 7 times a day.
Ooh, we've got a super fan over here. Yeah.
Any questions? No? Well, thank you so much. It sounded like you had a lot of willing volunteers, me included, so, shoot us a note or something if you want us to be involved in something. We will.
You are all stars in the making. I can see the vision now.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the other part of 2.1, which was our All-Employee Representative Council report with Dr. Conover and Michaela Hayes.
Good evening, members of the board, Chancellor Nancy, colleagues and guests. First, I'm a little bummed. I thought all the people here was for this report. I thought they wanted to hear from me. I guess not. A little sad, but we'll move forward. This is our opportunity to share a little bit about what AARC is working on. This is going to be a little different, though, this evening. We had heard that it would be interesting to hear directly from the employee representative groups and give them an opportunity to share the things that they're interested in, their priorities, and what they're working on. Just to remind everyone, AARC is a culmination of staff and faculty from across our different employee groups. They don't need to be part of an employee representative group to be part of AARC. However, we do hold at least one seat for each of those groups to ensure that we have communication, effective communication going back and forth, and their voice is heard within AARC. It's often the case that we have many members that are part of those different employee groups, but that is just part of the election process that they've been elected by their peers. So tonight, we're going to give each group a chance to share some of those priorities. We're going to ask you all, if possible, to hold your questions to the end so we can give them all a chance to come forward. And then, please, we'd love to hear from you any questions that you might have. So the three groups that I'm sure you're aware of are ACES, AFSCME, and PCCAE. And we're going to start with ACES and give them a chance to share their goals. And with that, Jason and Justin.
Hi, everybody. I'll spare you the litany of titles and just say good evening. I'm Jason Brown. I work in the Curriculum Quality Improvement Office here at Pima, and I'm the immediate past president of ACES. And with me is Jesse Diaz. He is the incoming president-elect. Unfortunately, our president, Rose Bowles, couldn't be here tonight, so we're pinch hitting for her. ACES represents all exempt staff of the college, regardless of whether they're members or not. But the exempt staff includes directors, managers, coordinators, staff who are technical experts in the field, many of the IT folks. So we're kind of your, knowing that Chancellor Nasty was in the military, we are kind of like the senior NCOs for the college. We polled our folks and asked them some questions about what their priorities are, what they want the board to look at, what they want the administration to look at. And so these aren't my ideas, I'm merely the messenger, and I'm passing this on from our full constituency. We had really good response when we asked the question. So the first thing we'd like to do is thank the board for your continued support for salary increases based on years in position, market adjustments based on how the job market is going. And that's really our highest priority, to continue to see that growth in salaries, most specifically for those employees that are in the lowest wage positions. We would love to see a Pima where everybody who works here is making a living wage. Our second priority is professional development funding. It's been broken for years, and this is not a new issue. This has come up. I was ACES president about 10 years ago, and now this is my second recycle, but it was an issue then, it's still an issue. Funding runs out far too quickly. Most people that want to do professional development end up on a wait list. That also forces staff to apply for funds on the very first day they're available, which is July 1st. And so if you want to go to a conference that's in December where all the details haven't been published yet, you're sort of out of luck because you don't have the information you need to fill out the application. So there's a lot of issues around that. I was really impressed with Chancellor Nassi at All College Day talking about us needing to be adaptable and being willing to change. And I think a key component of that is for your staff to get professional development, to be better in their field, to learn new software, to learn new technology. So it really does need a complete renovation, and I call on the board to look at the entire professional development funding for staff and find some ways to enhance it. Third, we really need help from the college, the board. We struggle with recruiting people into our organizations. We want to be really representative of the exempt staff. And to do that, we need to have hopefully a majority of exempt staff as members that are active and engaged. It's been very difficult over the past few years to get people to come into the organization. Reason for that is because of cuts to time and budget. Things like new employee orientation used to feature a few minutes for each of the employee groups to come talk to new employees about what the benefits are of joining this group, right? Hey, ACES, we're $4 a paycheck. It is not a lot of money, but there's great benefits you get out of it. And we just haven't had that opportunity. We'd also love, and I'm tagging on to the great presentation we just saw, we'd love to have the employee groups at the college have a better online presence with the college. Maybe actually being able to use Pima's own website instead of having to have our own website off the college. Fourth, a big issue for many people was ensuring that the remote work agreements and the standard operating procedure for that is continued and followed. Some managers at the college have made blanket statements against remote work, saying don't even bother applying. That goes against the SOP, which is everybody can apply. If you get denied, you need to be told why you're denied. No, you can't work from home on Fridays because X, Y, and Z. So we're not getting that, and that needs a hard look. But we also had a few comments about fears of being forced to go back to a campus when people have built their whole lives around at least some portion of their work being at home or being in some other location. And we even had some few comments about how remote work is helping the college meet our goals regarding the environment. So less people driving, less people, and we always do the PAG survey saying, you know, who's driving, how many people are in your car, all that kind of stuff. Well, not driving at all is probably the best, right? So unless you're riding a bike. And our final thing is we had a large number of staff. I have to say this was probably the biggest outcry I've heard since we went through our class and comp study, which a lot of people were upset about. Many staff are upset about the recent positions that have been filled through direct appointment. People feel that they're unable to give feedback in these cases, and several people reach out very specifically in saying the optics of what's happening with leadership of the college is not good. The top management is mostly white males, and it's not playing well with staff, it's not playing well with our students, and it's not playing well with our community. It does not look good for us. So, representation matters. If the senior leadership of the college looks so different demographically than our community and our students, we need to address that. We need to find better ways to do that. So we're calling on the college to take a very, very hard look at the direct appointment policy because it doesn't seem right. I want to make really clear that nobody had personal attacks on anybody that's been appointed. We realize there's reasons, but it's not personal. It's just that the policy doesn't seem to be working. And with that, I'll take any questions, or I guess we're waiting till the end. So coming up next is AFSCME, which represents our hourly staff.
Good evening, Chancellor Nassi, distinguished board members and guests. My name is Ricky Gonzalez, and I'm the chairperson for Pima Community College non-exempt division of AFSCME, as well as a AERC representative and an employee advocate. AFSCME stands for the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, founded in 1932 in Madison, Wisconsin, representing white-collar and blue-collar workers. Like Jason constituency, we also have our priorities as being the salary lifts, as well as position reviews and market adjustments. And I appreciate all of you in support of those things, continued support. In my second point, it's also commensurate with what Jason was saying in terms of redesigning, enhancing professional development, to provide more options in terms of providing flexibility and choice for employees. It would increase employees' engagement in that professional development, and also ensuring and reporting the successfulness of those endeavors, and in terms of being able to develop budgets in the future to help mitigate extra costs in terms of in the increase of travel and expenses. For administrative accountability, the 360 review, being an employee advocate and being there in terms of seeing people receiving progressive discipline, it becomes really obvious that sometimes a lot of the symptoms that the employee is experiencing or exhibiting is reflective of poor leadership. And if we can have a vehicle where we can actually help upper level management to understand their missteps in terms of their cause and effect of how the employees or teams or the departments work within each other, that would be an incredible feat. And then another priority we have is bilingual pay, which is our fourth bullet here. Being a developing, emerging Hispanic institution, leading institution, being able to leverage the talent that we have in the workforce in terms of people's language abilities, and being able to leverage communications with those diverse groups that come into the college, I believe that would foster more growth and more sustainability in terms of retention of students in this time of uncertainty with all the cuts in programs. And then finally, union rights in the sense of being able to have release time, to be able to be active in providing the service of representation to employees, as well as doing the work of the college to make it a better workplace for everyone. And that I thank you, and I will call up Michaela Hayes for PCCA.
You got it, don't you? I was like, it changed. Okay. Aubrey's back there with the clicker. So I'm Michaela Hayes. I represent full-time faculty on AERC as the PCCEA representative, so that's a lot of acronyms there. AERC, again, is All Employee Representative Council, and I love that we have probably about 20 members or more that participate on a regular basis. And we have 4 to 5 from each of the employee groups that you've seen here. And PCCEA represents the full-time faculty voice. We also have adjunct faculty representatives to the board that are not PCCEA members. They represent themselves, which is really nice. So tonight you hear from the 3 of us, but there's actually temporary staff, administration, adjunct faculty as well. So priorities from full-time faculty through PCCEA, we have 4 main points that we're focusing on through PCCEA, that's the faculty union. The first one is shared governance. You've heard me speak of it before. We really would like a board policy or administrative procedure outlining who gets a voice and when, and in what processes. One of the things that we heard about, you've heard, I think it was Jason just said it, about the staff voice within direct appointment processes. There is a great effort to hear everybody. But there's people being missed. And so if we had that board policy and administrative procedure to ensure that all of the voices are heard, it wouldn't be upon everyone at the college to just know what they're supposed to go to, who they're supposed to go to. I noticed during our HLC visit last December that it was hard for people to articulate which shared governance groups had charge of what types of things, and that's kind of at all levels. If we can't say that clearly, then we are not using it clearly. So we need to have a good, strong board policy, and that's a top priority for us. The next one is administrative accountability. I believe I've spoken to you on this as well, looking for 360 evaluations so that people can give feedback in some way about their managers and the people that are working above them so that we can improve. We are one college, many campuses, and we have areas that they oversee that aren't even at their campus most of the time. How are they supposed to know? I joke that a huge amount of my time goes to AERC, and if my bosses hadn't been members on AERC, how would they have known how I do when leading it? I happen to have, for the last 4 years, my supervisor happened to be sitting on the committee that I was running. This year they're not, so I guess I get to tell them how good I am. It's gonna be fun. But if we had a 360 evaluation, then somebody else could tell my boss for me how they believe I'm doing and tell me where I can improve. From that observation. Funding for salaries, we really appreciate the fact that you have prioritized that, and we would like to continue that. There are some things that we're working through with AERC. We have a 3-page summary outline of what we'd like to work on in the next 3 years. It's closer to 13 to 30 pages when you get to all the details of it. I did not put that in here, so you don't have to read that right now. But at some point, we'll provide that for you. But we would like to clarify, what is staff instructor versus faculty? When's the appropriate time to use those? How do we ensure pay equity between the jobs that are being done? And similar for staff directors and faculty leadership. That is something we're talking about with the provost, so this is not something you have to do, but it is one of the priorities that we're working towards. And lastly, like Ricky said, union rights. We have been getting time to meet with faculty at All Faculty Day a little bit. It used to be pretty much completely ran by PCCEA, and it has shifted. It has now moved back. We've got some time. I do believe we have time coming up, so that's great. But some time for us to actually meet with all faculty, because like Jason mentioned, it's really hard to represent everybody when you don't have a time that you can actually meet with everybody and make sure that you're getting those pieces together. And release time for college work. That would be a huge thing for me, to be able to allow our representatives to go through and help create that campus culture that we want to have. And when only AERC is getting release time, it makes it very difficult for me to ask other faculty to step up with me and do work in building that college community that we hope to have. And we've noticed steep loss of connection. We're having conversations about how do we build that back. I think that allowing the representative groups to have that release time and ensure that they are building that community as well would help the college to get to that goal. And so with that, I believe we will move now to questions for any and all of my group leaders here, or also AERC.
Any questions from the board? Yes, yeah, board member, yeah, please.
So when I was looking through those documents and I saw staff development, I was intrigued because a couple of years ago, Greg and I were on the governing board, and we asked the chancellor a question, and his response was something, but it implied that we don't have a lot of staff development at all levels. And I just wonder, when you say you want more staff development, maybe you can write a list of ways that it can be improved. And I'm not sure even who does staff development. Is that AERC, or is it administration?
Yeah, let me clarify a few things. That the professional development is run through the human resources. So there are $100,000 for each of the staff groups. So AFSCME's group and my group. So part of the problem is inflation. The maximum amount of award is $25,000 or $2,500, if only. So it's now, anybody that's gone to a conference recently knows that that's just a drop in the bucket of what it costs to fly there, hotel, conference fees, et cetera. So a lot of cases, the funding itself is not enough to cover the event that you want to attend to develop your skills. There are other issues. There's a myriad of them. We have some conferences we send huge numbers of people to. The Eleusian Conference for Banner is one of them. Some people are funded by their department to go. Other people are told you needed to get professional development funding to go. There are other major national conferences that are every year. It's like NASFA for financial aid folks. And it would be good to have some set aside money for funding a representative group from the college to attend those and bring information back. The other option or another idea would be, rather than sending large groups of people to an event like that conference, bring people to the college, have an all-staff day or something like that, where those presentations are given, and then we can bring if Muhammad can't go to the mountain, you bring the mountain to Muhammad, right? So I mean that's one other idea. There's a lot floating out there, but it really has been languishing, and it's sitting at $2,500 and sitting at that $100,000 budget annually. And I know asking for money at this point with cuts and everything is kind of difficult, but I think there might also be ways to restructure it to make it more fair and more available.
So just like that one comment about having workshops here at our campus, it would be way cheaper to hire one person to come here and have a half day professional development, a couple times a quarter maybe. I don't know. It'd be great for all of our employees to feel like not only were they working hard, but they were growing at the same time. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that growth, and I think I mentioned this, that growth is essential for us to be an agile, adapting college, right? Our staff has to know the latest in technology. They have to, we're changing software all the time, and if, we're not getting the resources to learn that new software, and this is just a singular example, right? Then we're struggling to kind of keep up with the change. And I think what we all aspire to is being not that kind of trying to keep up, but leading the way. And Pima being one of those colleges that other colleges look at and say, wow, look at the amazing things they're doing. And you can't do that without developing your staff and faculty.
Any other questions, comments? No? All right. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it. All right. Let's move on to reports by representatives to the board. So section 2.2. So just a reminder, we changed this last month, but these reports have always been provided in writing to board members, and then, but going forward, starting last month and then going forward, we're just going to ask our representatives if there's anything they want to add, because those written reports have to be submitted in advance. Excuse me. And then, of course, if we have any questions. So there's no student report for this month, but move on to the faculty report from Rita Lennon. Rita, is there anything you want to add to what you had in writing?
Thank you. I would this time. Thank you so much. First of all, I wanted to mention that I'm aware of you, even though I'm not in your age group. You guys are Instagram famous. And Dr. Vordran was my faculty mentor, and we love him over here too. So awesome. I do want to mention that STEM goes red. So not only did we get to go to the American Red Cross for the Women's event, but STEM goes red was also held at the Center of Excellence for Health Professions. That's a mouthful. Last week, and we got to see a lot of high school females come through and learn about our programs. And I thought that was wonderful because I'm not sure if you're aware. I'm sure Chair Taylor is. There's a lot of folks my age and older who are retiring from healthcare. We don't have enough people coming in to healthcare to fill all those gaps. So them knowing about nursing is wonderful, but also to learn about clinical research and that it's a program here that they can complete in 2 years and get a viable job is also very helpful. So we were excited about that. It was lovely to see Teresa Real at our last faculty meeting, so thank you so much for coming. We also voted in some new faculty officers, so faculty senate officers. So you will see a whole new group of folks here. And if you don't mind, real quickly, I will share that Sarah Kirchhoff will be the new Rita Lennon, and I would like for you to address her that way. Oh, you must be the new Rita Lennon. That would be really great. I'm just kidding. But she will be here starting in January to take my role. We also have Jane Hall, who will be our secretary, Vivian Knight, who will be our vice president, Dennis Just, who will be president-elect, and we have Dr. Kelly O'Keefe in the audience, who will be the president. I do believe she's going to be attending our board meetings as well, so she's going to be a hoot. Finally, I wanted to, on a little bit more of a serious note, there was mention at the Senate meeting about the rollout for the Menlo security. It was not addressed in the way that we were concerned with communication. There was plenty of communication from our CIO, who is Isaac Abbs, about the impending rollout and how it was going to be rolled out and the reason why. And it certainly wasn't because we don't think that security is important. We do know that in today's society that securing our systems is more important than ever. But it was actually the timing in that it was rolled out in the middle of semester, in the middle of the week. And there was just some things that we could not foresee. So students were locked out of third-party systems, going through their learning management system, D2L. They couldn't get into those systems. I'm still uncovering broken links in D2L, trying to find and quickly fix those for my adjuncts and for myself. And just a myriad of other issues that affected us. And so, considering our audiences, our learners, if they cannot do what we are going to need them to do and we can't communicate to them properly, this is a problem. Now, in Isaac's email, he did mention that there was lots of ways to, send a ticket if you find a problem or whatever. So I'm sure they had a ton of information coming in from us. But I think if it weren't dire, that we should probably find a better time to roll out something like the security system. And that concludes my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions for Rita? Yeah.
Rita, will you make sure you tell us next meeting a little bit about the new faculty emeritus program and why those changes were made?
Absolutely. Would you like me to do that now?
No.
Okay.
And then the second thing is, just so you have a chance to make sure you get everything down. The second thing is I mentioned to all of our board members today about how resilient teachers and students are in the face of adversity. And it was, I just want to commend you and all of the faculty and students that had to deal with starting your class and not having your whiteboard work, or starting your class and not being able to take attendance in the D2L system. But it just shows the resilience of teachers and students that together, if the two groups are working together, you can get a lot of amazing things done. So thank you to you and all of yours for doing that work.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Rita. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to this. Don, is there anything you want to add beyond your written report?
Yes, please. I would like to add to my written report and answer any questions you might have about that. Before I fill you in on what happened in the last week of Staff Council, I just wanted to answer a couple of questions that Board Member Randall had about grants. So we had the 5 TRIO grants remaining, would be our 3 student support services grants. There's one at East Campus called SOAR, and they serve the disabled population, and they serve 100 to 110 students. They are in the first year of their 5-year performance period, as are the other 2 SSS grants. We have 2 at Desert Vista. One is STEM focused and serves 120 to 132 students. And then we have the traditional SSS program that accepts all majors, and that is just the classic, we call it, and they serve 140 to 154 students. Again, they just starting the first year of the 5-year performance period. We have Veterans Upward Bound out at East Campus, and they obviously serve military veterans, and they are funded to serve 100 to 110, I believe, students. They, like Talent Search, that's the grant program that I manage at a Desert Vista campus. We are in the 5th and final year of our performance period. Talent Search does serve 6th through 12th graders. We serve the 3 main high schools in our area would be Desert View, Pueblo, and Sunnyside high schools, as well as 8 middle schools that are in the immediate area of those high schools. We are funded to serve 880 to 965, again, 6th through 12th graders. We are anxiously awaiting for the proposals, the RFPs we call them, the request for proposals to drop so that we can write a grant and get that submitted. You did ask the question of Joseph if he was worried. And as a grant staff, I would like to say, I would speak for not just myself, but my colleagues, whether they be in ABEC or title grants or TRIO grants, we sleep with one eye open. We hear the grinding of an axe pretty much 24/7. So there was an executive order issued. It was a Thursday night at like 5:03 p.m. I remember the day and the time, I can't remember the date. It was the end of August or September, in which our POTUS stated that any lawmaker, meaning someone in Congress or Senate, could fund or terminate any federal grant based on whether they believed it was in alignment with current federal priorities, right? So, and they could do it, part B of that was that they could do it at any time of the funding cycle, right? So what they've been doing is not been legislatively, it's not appropriate how they've been kind of axing these grants, but that executive order kind of clears the way. So like we got our grant award, but again, I have one eye open because who knows when a discontinuation letter could come. And that last bit that Joseph covered, where the college really fought and appealed, and we got those 3 letters saying, yes, you've been reinstated, and to get just the emotion amongst the students and the staff were really high that day. And then the next day to get the termination letter, it's just been a really rough ride for staff that work on grants and the students that we serve. On that note, I want to make a statement that I made at Staff Council on Friday. And I just want to thank the college community at large. I want to thank our administration Lots of you have been wearing superhero capes lately. I want to start with Libby and Joseph, our amazing government relations team that have been right there with us every step of the way. We felt very represented in DC and with our state representatives, and that's thanks to you all. We had Cisco Monty's team come and visit us in December, and I just can't express how important that was for us, that for our morale, to know that you had rallied behind us. We know how busy you are. I know this has been a crazy year for you guys too, trying to keep up with this. There was an administrative team assigned to kind of monitor all this and to do the appeals, and that was left by Jeff Sylvan, another man who should be wearing a superhero cape right now. And I have seen your passion and your advocacy when you're talking about our TRIO grants and all the other grants that you're defending right now. And it's been really remarkable. So your team, Nina Corson, my supervisor, Edgar Soto, Aubrey Conover, I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, and I'm really sorry if I do, but it has been amazing, the support, and I really don't envy you all having to try to communicate this out, because it changes. My partner says we're going to take this one day at a time, and I drink a lot of tea. I was raised in Britain, so I say, no, I'm taking it one tea bag at a time, because that's how quickly it changes. So, and then the support we get from the college community at large, I think the way I described it is I just feel like every time I walk on campus, I get this huge collective hug. Everyone is constantly asking how we're doing and how our grant is doing and how our students are doing, and that really is what makes Pima such an amazing place to work. And I just wanted to thank you all. I hear you guys at the board meetings and your concern with the grants and your questions, and it really means a lot amidst a ton of uncertainty and stability. This has been going on 9 months. We wake up every day. Is the letter going to come today when I open my inbox? You know, they're 3 hours ahead, so it's the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning. And that's what's gotten us through, is the community ringing around us and checking in every single day. And I just wanted to thank you for that. I just wanted, I wanted to thank all the people that were in the employee group. Some of them I've known, I've been doing this for a long time, and it's a lot of work. And it's funny because we've been talking in staff council. In fact, it just came out it just was released today. We sent out a survey to our members asking for feedback, because we've been having conversations where we're really eager for staff professional development and enrichment. And we were wanting to bring back those staff professional development days that we used to have like 10 or 15 years ago, that was described actually by ACES just a while ago. So we're going to collect that information from our constituents. We want to share that out with ACES and ASME, and we've actually already talked to Tina Neal and her new director of OED, thank you. Too many acronyms, I think we're in the military sometimes, about that, and they're very excited to work with us all on that. So I wanted to thank you for your support in that regard as well, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Don. Any questions? No, I appreciate it. And then the adjunct faculty report, Sean Mendoza.
Good evening, Chair Taylor, Chancellor Nassi, members of the board, and honored guests. I'd like to add my voice to the many thoughtful and heartfelt comments shared by our students and the members of our community. It wasn't long ago that some of us in the adjunct faculty ranks were given a second chance by Pima Community College. I was once again reminded that at the heart of education lies in our shared commitment to creating opportunities, supporting growth, and ensuring every student has a chance to thrive. As a college, we must do all we can to provide a pathway to a better life for the most vulnerable of our community. Please know that your leadership and efforts do not go unnoticed, and we stand with you and help in keeping students at the center of every decision. And this ends my report.
Thank you, Sean. Any questions for Sean? No, I appreciate it. All right, moving on to 2.3, the Chancellor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and members of the governing board, Board Member Real, Dr. Barraza, Board Member Randall. Always great to be here with you this evening, and I guess first and foremost, always thank you. Thank you for your engagement, your leadership, your continued support of Pima Community College, and I think we've heard about it in a lot of different ways, how engaged you are this evening. Great to see our students. I know a lot of them have left already, but it was good to see them. Always good to see our faculty, our staff, and the members of our community. You know, there's as we've heard earlier, a lot of public conversation around the federal grants, rightfully so. And I really do appreciate everyone coming out here in support of these grants that, you know, the college has been a part of for a long time. And so I know one of the people who spoke this evening talked about, you know, we do care, right? We care, and I just want everyone to know who's listening and sitting in the audience, and I know a lot of those folks have left this evening, but the entire governing board, certainly the staff, Don, great words in terms of the team. We think about this all the time, and we're trying to work through it as best we can, right, in making effort. And I know you'll weigh those comments and testimonials today very carefully. So thanks for all the people that spoke to that. You know, I do want to point out, I think that situation underscores a fundamental reality that I've spoken to before, and that's the long-term sustainability of Pima Community College's programs, right? We really can't depend on uncertain federal or state revenue streams. And so things like being operationally efficient, partnerships, of course, and especially local partnerships, and sustained local investment will be key to ensuring that we continue to be able to serve Southern Arizona for generations to come. And I think a lot of those priorities are manifest in the Chancellor's goals that you approved last month, and we will work hard to make those things a reality. But despite all of those challenges, first and foremost, always student success remains our highest priority. And I'm just so proud of the governing board, the faculty, the staff, the administration, so many in our community who have been united in meeting this moment with real resilience and purpose. Just want to talk a little bit about some of the things happening at the college, some of it community engagement, some of the things around student success that I've been so fortunate to be a part of, but I think speaks to us being the community's college. Since our last meeting, you know, just a few things. 9/11 Tower Challenge. You know, I was so honored to join members of our team, PCC Police Department, and others in climbing a whole lot of steps at the PCC Tower Challenge. It was a lot of fun, and it was really great, right, in remembrance of the first responders and, of course, civilians who lost their lives on 9/11. But it was also really a celebration of our community of first responders and public safety. And as you know, from a programmatic standpoint, public safety, first responders continues to be an area of focus as we work through a plan to build out a first responder public safety center of excellence. The U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement Forum. We also participated in that forum over at the University of Arizona, where our own vice chair, she skipped over this, Carla Bernal Morales, served on a panel highlighting cross-border collaboration, trade, and workforce development. And this is a huge area, right, where Pima Community College plays a vital role in this process. So thank you for your leadership, Vice Chair. You mentioned Mexican Independence Day, Viva. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast, and again, it's the second year we've been able to go and be a part of that. The Southern Arizona Leadership Council CEO Summit. I was joined by Dr. Barraza up in Phoenix. This was really a valuable opportunity to engage with local and statewide leaders. Every university president was at this event. Several other community college presidents, chancellors were there. And it was really about workforce pipeline and innovation economies in Arizona in general. And Pima will continue to be a big part of that. This is great. A local industry leader, AGM Container Controls. They celebrated their 55th anniversary as a company earlier this month, and they had a big event. I was again joined by Vice Chair Morales and her family at the event. You know, and AGM is a local company that Pima Community College has had a long relationship with. They are huge on employee tuition reimbursement. I think literally hundreds and hundreds of their employees have gone through Pima Community College. It's a major strategy that they use. And so their CEO, Howard Stewart, it has just been great, and it was awesome to be a part. And Pima was mentioned throughout that night and throughout that presentation, and they had lots of clips of the college and how we're participating in it. It was the first time to join the Chamber of Southern Arizona economic development team, and we did a really fast-paced and productive economic mission in Los Angeles. In 28 hours, we met with 5 international trade offices, Australia, Austria, Finland, Germany, and Switzerland, and held 2 site selector meetings, and this was all about underscoring Tucson's growing global reach. And Pima Community College is a huge part of what we're trying to do to bring employers of value to this region, and it was great to be part of those conversations. As you know, our fall enrollment is well above where we were last year, and that's so important for us as we think about access, right? How do we measure how we are, providing access to post-secondary education, to college education, and so ensuring that we continue to maintain those enrollment success. South 32 Partnership, since the last time we met, we are the provisional sponsor for the Santa Cruz Center. 16 students received full ride scholarships to enroll in our new electrician certificate program down in Nogales. And that's developed in concert directly with South 32, right? So this is a great opportunity, great jobs, great careers, and so we're excited, and they earn a industry recognized credential. Just a quick Likewise, I saw this come up through my feed, and I said, I really want to mention, it's just another example, right, of what we're doing, transformative things for students. We have a graduate in our Translation and Interpretation Endowment Tuition Award. Her name is Deborah Solzbach. Deborah now teaches English to newly immigrated ASARCO employees, right? So these are people who have immigrated for jobs, and one of our own is teaching them English as part of this program. And it's a huge example, I thought, of transforming both individuals and the workplace, our community. The respiratory therapy team, they do lots of great things. Just recently, they were down at Fort Huachuca, where they led a service learning project training Army medics. Board Member Real, you mentioned the graduation that we do with the Air Force. Here was our respiratory therapy team down working with the Army and training their medics in critical airway management and other things. So again, applied leadership from our programs in our college. And lastly, I wanted to talk about, we had a study session recently, and we talked a lot about student success, particularly in the online area. But we're seeing some really great gains. Mathematics, right? Traditionally a hard area always for all students. I struggled in math. It can be a challenge for a long time. But the number of students, the percentage of students who are enrolled in just standalone developmental education math, we've been able to cut in half. So where before 25% of students were kind of placed into that standalone dev ed math. It's not college credit, it's remedial, right? We've cut that in half to 12.5%. So that means we have more students going directly into college level math, right, where they're able to complete faster. So I think that's really good, hard, sometimes not a big ribbon cutting or something like that, but we want to recognize the great work of our math faculty who are sitting there thinking about how can we get more students through college credit math, and they're working hard to do those things. And speaking of direct appointments, I didn't have a chance to announce Dr. Ian Rourke. I was able to, of course, put out an email that really announced my rationale in that direct appointment. But I'm really proud of the work that Dr. Rourke has done. We've been able to eliminate a position and kind of combine some areas. And I listed a lot of reasons and a rationale why I selected Dr. Rourke as the provost. But ultimately, in my heart, I think it's the best thing for our students, and I'm really honored to work with him and want to recognize him here at this meeting. And with that, I will conclude, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions for the Chancellor?
Can you tell everybody what you guys are doing next week on the 15th?
And now, of course, I'm drawing a blank.
So Pima Community College gets to be the inaugural workforce development showcase at the Tech and Business Expo happening at the Tucson Convention Center. So if you are not planning to be there, change your plans. You got to come and see this.
I would report that at my next Chancellor's report. Vice Chair, thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right. Well, section 3 is information items. So let's move on then to...
Actually, I do have one.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's on my calendar that we're having a Southern Arizona Technology and Entrepreneurship Center open house in 2 weeks. The 20th. Yeah. I know. I was just adding another really amazing thing that's going on.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to section 4 then, the consent agenda. Are there any motions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Are we moving the
Consent agenda.
I want to pull 5.3.
5.
Black belt, help one.
5.3 is not in the consent agenda. 5.3 is in the action items.
I'm sorry, it's getting late. I'll wait.
Okay, is there a second on the consent agenda?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm aye as well, so that passes unanimously. Moving on to section 5, action items. 5.1, the Association and Community College Trustees Leadership Congress voting delegates. So we need to select 2 of us who will be voting delegates at the upcoming Leadership Congress at the end of this month. I believe last year it was me and former board member Maria. I can give you some insight into what it is. So for those of you that haven't attended, but it's so there are 2 of our board members who are, and we nominate who they are, who go in to actually do the voting for ACCT's leadership. So you go to like a special session that only you can get in as a voting delegate. You listen to the speeches of the different board members who want to be the leadership in ACCT and advocate on behalf of all of us trustees across the country. The whole thing lasts maybe 45 minutes. It's not a terribly long thing. It is interesting, though, because you get a chance to hear from and interact with board members from across the country, not only who are also delegates, but those who are working to earn your vote as they go through those particular things. So I've done it 2 years in a row now. I'm happy to step aside if others want to participate in that. I think it's a fun part of the Leadership Congress if you're interested. And it happens during the normal course of the event, so it's not like an extra thing that you have to add on. But if there's anybody interested, say so, and we can nominate you and vote and send you with your little seal on your badge. Don't all jump in at once.
I'm interested.
All right, thank you.
I also would like to pick my partner in crime.
Are you
Board
nominating
Member
someone?
Barraza, I'd like to nominate you to be.
Just one comment. The
Yes.
meetings that you have to attend are on Thursday and Friday, I believe.
I don't know when they are in the schedule, to be honest with you. but-
Thursday at 2 and Friday at 8:30.
Then you can't go. All right. Well, then you're excluded. Is anyone else interested? I think we need 2 of us. All right. You want to nominate somebody?
I would like to nominate Board Member Barraza.
I like to nominate Board Member Randall to be the second one.
I second both of those.
All right. Sounds good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Board Member Barraza and Board Member Randall. You'll tell us how it goes. All right. Let's move on to 5.2, the board policy final reading for BP 403. Is there a motion on the floor? And then we can have a discussion if anybody has a discussion or questions.
Sure, I move we pass the ERM board policy.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any discussion?
I do have a comment I mentioned last
Yes,
time.
please.
But, so it says in the second page, the governing board through the Finance and Audit Committee is responsible for overseeing the college's ERM program. And I'm still concerned about that word overseeing. Overseeing, if you look it up in a dictionary, I sort of know what it means, right? But I did look it up. Supervise or be in charge of. And I'm not sure if that aligns with what we're supposed to do. None of us have the knowledge to really supervise something. I mean, if we get some training, possibly, but I'm concerned that what we're charged. I don't mind doing work, by the way, right? But I don't think I have the skills to supervise or oversee that at all. So I would need some training. I'm not going to talk for any of you guys, but I'm just wondering, can we change that word to make it something like not oversee?
Go ahead.
Well, and if I may, I think the key word there is through its Finance and Audit Committee. So Board Chair Randall and I serve on that committee, and we have experts from the community that inform and report out on these issues. So to me, it's through the committee that we oversee. Is that right?
So first, I appreciate the concern that the board is adopting policies that fit within our governance structure and appropriately reflect what the role of the board should be. So a couple thoughts about this one. One is we are going to have a study session at some point to just talk in more in depth about ERM. What does that mean? How does it work? So that the board, all board members have a better understanding of what we're talking about. Certainly open to suggestions about wording other than oversee, but I guess what I would say is in this context, oversee doesn't mean like day-to-day management. Oversee means the higher level sort of strategic management and holding the college accountable to make sure that we have an appropriate ERM program and that we're actually following it. And that's analogous to other functions the board has. So if you look in the bylaws, for example, the board's responsible to oversee the chancellor's performance, right? So that doesn't mean you manage him day to day, but you are ultimately responsible to make sure that the chancellor is carrying out the goals and objectives that the board set. And I kind of, at least the way I view this language is that's a similar idea here. That oversee in this context means that the board is setting the higher level strategic directions and requiring follow-up and check-ins and asking appropriate questions to make sure that things seem to be on track and that there's ways to determine whether or not objectives are being met. So, I mean, maybe there's a different way to say that, but there are other areas in which the board does have oversight or oversees things, the budget, other areas that is sort of it is a term, so I can understand why it could, for some, connote something different than what it's intended to mean here, or what it means in other places in the bylaws and other policies.
So one, just more comments. I was on that committee for 2 years also. And I can say that David Parker and Jose Salmondando, I didn't pronounce his last name correctly, but they know what they're talking about as far as ERM. So, Mr. Silva, I'm going to say that I appreciate your words. I like those words a lot better. The governing board, through the Finance and Audit Committee, will hold the college responsible for having an effective and efficient ERM program, something like that, instead of overseeing. Anyway.
Can we amend the motion to change the wording and then pass that way?
You can. So it seems to me there are a couple options. One is, yes, there could be either a friendly or a not friendly amendment to change the language as is, or if you want, the other option is bring back a different version next time. It just depends what your preference is. If you're all comfortable with the change, then you could amend it now.
And I will say, maybe Andrea, you can tell me, I forgot who made the motion.
I did.
So I guess you could make a friendly amendment to your own motion, as long as your second agrees and to change the wording, and then we could pass that.
I don't remember who seconded it.
Remember Randall did.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to change that to whatever Jeff Sylvan said in his statement when he said that the governing board would hold the college accountable. And I don't know if it needs to be those exact words, but.
Fortunately, these meetings are recorded.
I know.
And there's an accurate transcript, so we don't have to rely on either of our best memories.
Thank you.
All right, so the motion and seconded is to pass it, but with the revision as stated by Jeff Sylvan. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, I'm aye as well. All right, moving on to 5.3, contract amendment, Black Belt Help LLC for call center services. Was there somebody that was going to talk to us about that one, or is there, Dave, yeah.
Dr. B.
Please, Dr. B.
Good evening. Chairperson Taylor, members of the board, Chancellor Nassy, colleagues and guests. In your packet this evening is the aforementioned recommendation to approve an amendment to the Black Belt Help, which is amending the agreement that was approved by the board in June. Just to sort of give a quick and dirty on this, the contract has provided 24/7 call center support for our students since 2020. It was updated to the first 5 years of the agreement went forward, and then the board approved the update of it for this coming year, and then potentially 2 one-year agreements on top of that afterwards. The item in front of you today is really a correction to that June board report that accounts for about $194,000, the exact number is in there, in expenditures that occurred in the first 5 years of the agreement. And what happened was the expenditures exceeded the not to exceed amount that was approved by the board in 2020. So we're correcting something where the total amount from the 5 years prior went over. It should have been caught before the June board meeting, and it should have been included in that, and then we wouldn't have to be here tonight. However, it wasn't, so here we are making the recommendation to get the board's approval after the fact. I'll also add that finance is updating, and I know it says it in the board packet, but I want to make this clear, updating procedures so that this will be identified and corrected and identified and prevented from happening in the future. Part of it, there's some system changes that we want to make that are related to multi-year purchase order agreements. Currently, we sort of do 1 year at a time and then cancel it and then reissue them each year. That opens the door for expenses to go over. I will also add actually that the error happened back in 2020. It was underestimated what the not to exceed amount was. So it's an error that should have been caught before now. I apologize, and we'll be talking with the Finance Audit Committee about what the corrections have been made and then to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future.
I have a question, just and correct my understanding if what I state is wrong. But the overage, we're charged based on utilization, right?
Correct.
So that just means our students utilize the service more than we maybe originally projected them to. So, and then that's what drove the overage.
Correct.
Is that
And
correct?
it was happening during the pandemic, and
okay. Thank you. Any other questions for?
I had a bunch, but I think that since it's not recent, but during the pandemic, that these overages happened. I guess my only thought that I was going to ask earlier was, do we get a list from the company, what kind of questions our students are asking? And then maybe if we receive those questions, we can do, training for our staff, so our staff knows the answer. So maybe that we're not stuck in this position where we have so many students ask so many questions that maybe we could answer.
Sure, absolutely. So really what this service does is it's a 24/7, 365-day third-party call center. So really when some of these students are calling us, it's after regular business hours. And so again, it's for our online students and even our students that attend courses in person. We know that sometimes they're juggling jobs, family, other responsibilities. So by the time they get to sit down and look at what their question is, it may be 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and this service is able to provide that information. If they do need additional information, that call is is then moved up, and then one of our staff members will then work with them. But this is for more basic information, but the top 5 drivers by service category are admissions, how do I apply, where do I apply, the registrar, how do I change my program of study, financial aid, where is my refund, accounts receivable in the business office, why do I have a past due balance, and then the learning management system, how do I access my online class. So we do have a lot of that information online as well, but sometimes students do want to talk to someone, and sometimes these calls do come in after normal business hours. So it's really about accessibility for all of our students. And we meet with those folks twice a month. We also have larger group meetings with them twice a year. So we are continuously assessing what is coming through. That information is then reported to these different areas for that continuous improvement to see, is there something that we can change or something that we can do a little bit better to help answer students' questions. But right now it is really providing a really critical need for that service to be able to answer questions during non-business hours. Thank you.
And any other questions? No? Then I will move 5.3 if there's a second.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm in favor as well, so am I. That passes unanimously. All right, moving on to section 6. Any requests for future agenda items? No? All right. Oh, please, yeah.
Just the same ones I asked about last month.
Yep, they're on the list.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any others? No? All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you.